Hello, I'm Rascador. Today, I'm going to do the 39th fuel economy test on the way home from work in Gangnam. The vehicle to be tested today is the Hyundai Kona SUV. This model is a completely full-changed second-generation vehicle. Among them, I would like to talk about how much fuel economy the 1.6 gasoline turbo SUV model will get on the way home from work. The Kona is the vehicle that caused the small SUV craze in 2017. However, sales plummeted due to the facelift. As the second-generation model appeared recently, people are showing a lot of interest. However, the fact that the price is high is a bit ambiguous. Today, let's see how different the first and second-generation models are. The test starts at 5 p.m. in Seoul and runs a total of 24.7 kilometers to Gasan, Guro Digital, Silom, Sadang, Gangnam Station, Yeoksum, and Jamsil. This is a test to find out how low the fuel efficiency of this vehicle is while driving for about 2 hours in the most congested Gangnam area during commute time. If you look at this test and compare it with the environment in which you use the vehicle, it would be nice to refer to how much fuel economy will come out when I use this vehicle. As you can see from the front, it is expected to be very blocked from the beginning. I looked for a model to compare with the Kona 1.6 gasoline turbo model tested today. Among them, the Avante 1.6 naturally aspirated and 1.5 gasoline turbo, which were previously tested. Compare the fuel efficiency of the 5-door Mini Cooper and the Venue 1.6 gasoline naturally aspirated model with this vehicle. The Kona second-generation 1.6 gasoline turbo model to be introduced today has been certified for fuel economy of 12.2 km/liter and city fuel economy of 10.8 km/liter. So, it is still before testing, but fuel economy of about 8 km/l is expected. First, let's talk a little more after arriving at the first fuel economy checkpoint, Guro Digital Complex area. Arrived at Guro Digital Complex station. It took about 18 minutes and the fuel economy was a little low at 6 km/liter. To this point, the Kona hybrid took 24 minutes and fuel consumption was 20.3 km/liter. Avante took 17 minutes to get here, so it took almost the same time and fuel economy was 8.3 km/liter. In comparison, this vehicle shows fuel economy of about 6 km/liter, perhaps because of its large size. The Venue took 10 minutes to get here, and the fuel economy was 11.2 km/liter. And the Mini Cooper 5-door 1.5 gasoline turbo model took 15 minutes to get here, and the fuel economy was 6.5 km/liter. So now I think this vehicle will come out with fuel economy comparable to the base Mini Cooper model. In the case of this second-generation Kona model, the 1.6 gasoline turbo model is sold as a basic base. The first generation had 1.6 gasoline, 2.0 gasoline, and 1.6 diesel models, but the diesel model was deleted from the 2021 model year. So, even if it is a first-generation model, the 2022 model should be considered as having no diesel model. There are two types of 1.6 gasoline turbo and 2.0 naturally aspirated in this Kona, but there is no major change in the powertrain as it moves from the first generation to the second generation. Electric vehicles are coming, and so are hybrids. In a way, the 2.0 naturally aspirated model is also a model for fuel economy. If you look at the 1.6 gasoline naturally aspirated model in Venue, the fuel efficiency is pretty good, but why was it excluded from the second-generation Kona? The reason is simple. First of all, in the case of Kona, many advanced options were included. I'll talk about this a little later, but as the convenience specifications increased, the price range increased. However, the starting price of the vehicle was slightly cheaper for the first-generation model. So, between Venue, Casper, and Kona, Venue's position was a little ambiguous. So Casper is trying to lower the price a little bit. And in the case of Kona, the basic unit price was raised by deleting many low-cost trims. As a result, it gives the impression that the Kona second-generation model has become quite expensive. In other words, you can think that Kona has increased the price range and added a lot of convenience specifications to save the Venue. Then, is the Kona 1.6 gasoline turbo model exactly the same as the previous model? However, from the second-generation Kona, the 1.6 gasoline turbo engine and the 2.0 gasoline engine are included as standard, and the N-line has been changed so that exterior modification and interior Alcantara decoration can be selected as a plus option. So, you can think that there is no 1.6 naturally aspirated Kona model. Another feature is that the first-generation Kona N-line model 1.6 gasoline turbo is equipped with a 7-speed DCT transmission, and the second-generation Kona model is equipped with an 8-speed torque converter. However, in the case of output, it is the same as before with 198 horsepower. To summarize, now the basic model of the second generation of Kona seems to be showing the N-line performance of the first generation. The torque is 20 torque, and the combined fuel consumption is 13.0 km/L, which is 0.3 km/liter higher than before, so the two models feel very different even though they are the same engine. And the most surprising thing is that the engine is very smooth. Vibration and noise are greatly improved. In fact, in the case of Kona, it is a model that can be called a similar line because it uses the same platform as the current Avante vehicle using the third-generation platform. So, although the price is high, I was quite surprised by the smoothness of the engine, quietness of the engine, and performance such as suppression of vibration. Overall, even when starting the car with acceleration, it is very smooth. In particular, in the case of the first-generation Kona, noise was severe on hilly roads or high-revving sections where a lot of power was used. However, the vehicle is set gently to make the driver comfortable and enhance the ride. So, for those who don't know much about cars, it's a soft setting that makes you think, why doesn't the car run like this? However, it's not that the car doesn't run well, it's a condition where you don't have to use power, so it feels like it's not going out. It means that the driving performance has become very smart. I haven't tested this vehicle much yet, so I'm talking about a short feeling that is basically felt. The part that received the most criticism at the time of the first-generation Kona was the application of a torsion beam to front-wheel drive and multi-link to four-wheel drive. What is unusual is that the 2.0 gasoline naturally aspirated model can only select front-wheel drive. The Kona Hybrid also doesn't have a four-wheel drive option, but it has multi-link in front-wheel drive by default. So, I think it's a little special that Hyundai's four-wheel drive H-Track and rear-wheel multi-link are optional. The 2.0 naturally aspirated engine uses the new 2.0 engine and an IVT continuously variable transmission. So, the combined fuel consumption was 13.6 km/L, which maximized fuel economy. In fact, looking at the 1.6 gasoline turbo fuel economy and the 2.0 naturally aspirated fuel economy, I personally don't know why I should buy the 2.0 model. That's why I'm doing various fuel economy tests like today. I just passed Siloam Station. I will go further and go to Seoul National University Station to check the fuel economy again. I arrived at Seoul National University Station. This is the third checkpoint, the 8 km section. It took 39 minutes to get here and the fuel economy is 7.7 km/liter. Avante took 30 minutes to get here and showed fuel efficiency of 11.6 km/L. And the Kona Hybrid took 47 minutes to get here, and showed good fuel economy with a fuel economy of 15.9 km/liter. The Mini Cooper 5-door model arrived here in a whopping 32 minutes, and the fuel consumption was 8.4 km/liter. The Venue 1.6 gasoline naturally aspirated model took 27 minutes with the same engine as the Avante, and the fuel consumption was 13.6 km/liter. Looking at it this way, it is very regrettable that the Kona 1.6 naturally aspirated model is gone. Overall, the price range has increased, so I think it is to induce sales of the Kona Hybrid. However, if you add a lot of options, is it good to buy a Kona Hybrid for 40 million Korean won? You may have doubts. I'll talk more about pricing later. First, let's look at the exterior of the Kona. The overall length is 4,350 mm, which is 145 mm longer than the first generation. And the overall length has also grown by 25 mm to 1,825 mm. The length of the Seltos is 4,390 mm, so it's larger than the first generation Kona model, but still smaller than the Seltos. And the overall length of the Trailblazer is 4,425 mm, which is about 75 mm shorter than the Kona Trailblazer. The Trailblazer can't really be called a compact SUV. If you look at this and that, such as the platform, it is about a semi-midsize SUV, but it is difficult to match with other semi-midsize SUVs, so it is in the small SUV line. Anyway, the Trailblazer is the largest of the compact SUVs, and you can see that the Kona is about 75 mm shorter in overall length compared to it. However, the wheelbase is the longest among small SUVs, so the platform design feels very well done. So the space in the second row has become very wide. The first generation Kona was a little disappointed with the space in the second row for a family car, so many people chose Seltos instead of Kona. It would be nice to put the Seltos side by side and compare them directly, but when I saw it like this, I personally think that the space in the second row of the second generation Kona is about the size of the Seltos. What surprised me the most while unveiling the second generation Kona was the use of the CCNC connected car navigation cockpit introduced in the recently released Grandeur, because it is a very luxurious device. This is a very simple design with a cockpit that is one step higher than the CCNI introduced in the previous Genesis. The overall icon, interface, and UI have become very simple, but it can be seen as a vehicle with a little more scalability in mind as it includes full-fledged next-generation OTA functions. Therefore, the unit price of this vehicle is actually very high. But, don't just think it's expensive, you have to look at why it's expensive. First of all, CCNC and OTA functions are applied, as well as a 12.5-inch display with a 12.5-inch interface, showing reliability higher than that of a midsize car. In addition, Hyundai CarPlay, e-Hi-Pass, and driver's seat memory seat functions are also included. And there is a walk-in seat in the front passenger seat. I probably remember that this function was included in the facelift of the Grandeur, and this function is also included in the auxiliary seat. The back seat has air vents and heated seats, and convenient specifications such as a wide sunroof are quite good, and you can put 4WD in the H-Track rough road driving. Next, double glazing was used to significantly reduce wind noise and road noise from the outside. I want you to see and feel it for yourself. People who have ridden the first-generation Kona often feel very luxurious while riding the second-generation Kona, and the advantage of blocking outside noise so well seems to be one of the reasons. So, Hyundai Motor Company has raised the price of the car, but it can be seen that it has put in a lot of good convenience features instead. Now I am near Bangbei Station. So far, it has driven 13.8 kilometers and shows fuel economy of about 8.7 kilometers L. Now, I'll check the fuel economy once again at Yeoksum Station after passing through Gyeonggi Station and Gangnam Station. Arrived at Yeoksum Station. It took 1 hour and 8 minutes to get here and shows fuel economy of 9 kilometers per liter. The road is not blocked as much as expected. The Kona 1.6 hybrid model took 1 hour and 39 minutes to get here, and the fuel economy was 15 kilometers. The Avante 1.6 naturally aspirated model similarly arrived in 1 hour and 6 minutes, and the fuel consumption was 11.4 kilometers L. In the case of the Mini Cooper 5-door model, it took 1 hour and 20 minutes and the fuel economy was 8.8 kilometers liter. Of course, the Mini Cooper is a hatchback and the Kona is an SUV. But looking at it this way, the fuel efficiency of the Mini Cooper 1.5 gasoline turbo is better than expected. Now let's talk about pricing. I kept saying that the price of the second generation Kona increased, but how expensive did it become? The two-wheel drive model starts at 25.84 million Korean won. If you add four-wheel drive and rear-wheel multi-link suspension to this, 2.05 million won is added. Highway driving is a little different, but putting multi-link in four-wheel drive based on the first-generation model is because the car feels a little more stable. However, the second-generation model has improved ride comfort even with a two-wheel drive model, so I wonder how it will feel if four-wheel drive is added. A full-option vehicle with four-wheel drive and multi-link applied to a 1.6 gasoline turbo vehicle costs 36.15 million won. So, the conclusion is that if you add VAT, etc., it is about 40 million won with a full option. As mentioned earlier, with the addition of advanced convenience features such as CCNC, the unit price of the vehicle has also increased. So, the boundary between Venue and Kona was a little ambiguous, but I think Kona has developed a little more luxurious to solve this. As for the powertrain, the 1.6 naturally aspirated powertrain that entered the first generation of Kona was omitted, and the 1.6 gasoline turbo model became the basis. Let's also look at the price of the 2.0 modern model. The 2.0 naturally aspirated modern basic trim starts at 25.14 million won. In terms of price, it is slightly cheaper than the 1.6 gasoline turbo model. However, there is a downside to not being able to select all-wheel drive. In other words, the 2.0 model cannot select rear-wheel multi-link. So, when purchased as a full option, it costs 33.4 million won, which is a little different from the 1.6 gasoline turbo. But the four-wheel drive option is about 2.05 million won, so it can be seen as similar. And if you add the N-line to the 1.6 modern model, it costs 37.32 million won. So in this case, it seems to be about 40 million won including VAT. The N-line can also be added to the 2.0 modern naturally aspirated model, and in this case, the full option price is about 34.75 million won. Let's talk about the N-line for a moment. The first generation 1.6 gasoline turbo was N-line, but the current powertrain is no different from the N-line. Instead, the N-line package is applied. So, the front bumper is different, and 19-inch exclusive wheel tires are applied. And it is equipped with a single twin-tip muffler and spoiler. And if you add 370,000 won, the option to cover the steering wheel and console with Alcantara is applied separately. What's a little unusual is that the overall length of the N-line vehicle is about 35 mm longer. The front and rear bumpers protrude a bit more to lengthen the overall length. But the width is the same. The N-line can enter the middle trim, which costs about 1.9 million won. And the Alcantara option is 370,000 won. Personally, if you purchase an N-line model, I recommend you to use Alcantara. This is because the Alcantara option is cheap at 370,000 won. Usually, in the case of BMW or Benz, if you try to wrap the steering wheel with Alcantara, the estimate is about twice as high. As a result, if you put the N-line, you can see that the full option price is quite high, about 37 million won. However, if you look at all the advanced convenience specifications, overall materials, and finishes mentioned above, I think this vehicle is almost a Santa Fe or Palisade class vehicle. CCNC is highly likely to be applied not only to newly released SUVs in the future, but also to the Sonata full change model, because doing so can reduce the overall unit cost of this device. If so, you can get a glimpse of Hyundai Motor Company's will to upgrade the brand by subtly raising the price. Also, let's talk about the OTA feature. For example, if many people do not like the design of the instrument panel, the infotainment design can be changed through an update. Or, if a problem is found with engine fuel injection, an update can fix the problem, making the recall easier. Tesla is also making great use of this OTA feature with over-the-air updates. Hyundai Motor Company also has the advantage of using this to extend the life of the vehicle a little more. Vehicle hardware is difficult to change, but software updates allow for continuous upgrades of new features, even in vehicles that have been used for many years. Right now, it's near Seoul station, but it's starting to get clogged up little by little. So, today's test drive is expected to be over in about 1 hour and 50 minutes, but I will go to Samsung station and check the fuel economy once again. Arrived at Samsung station. It took 1 hour and 49 minutes, and the fuel consumption is 7.1 kilometers liter. To this point, the Kona hybrid took 2 hours and 19 minutes, and fuel economy was 13.3 kilometers liter despite being heavily blocked. And the Avante 1.6 naturally aspirated model took 1 hour and 57 minutes to get here, and the fuel consumption was 8.6 k-liter. The Mini Cooper 1.5 gasoline turbo similarly arrived in 1 hour and 48 minutes and fuel consumption was 8.1 km/liter. Finally, the Venue 1.6 gasoline naturally aspirated model took 1 hour and 15 minutes and had a fuel economy of 13.3 km/liter. It seems that road blockages are almost over. I'll go further to Jamsil to finish the test. We arrived at the final stop, Jamsil station. The total distance of 24.7 kilometers was driven in 2 hours and 12 minutes. And fuel economy is 7 km/L. To this point, the Kona hybrid took 2 hours and 33 minutes, and the fuel economy was 13.6 km/L. Even though the road was almost twice as clogged, the fuel economy was more than twice as high. And the Avante 1.6 gasoline naturally aspirated model took 2 hours and 14 minutes, and the fuel economy was 8.7 km/liter. Therefore, it seems that there is a difference of about 1.5 km/L in fuel economy between the 1.6 naturally aspirated engine and the turbo engine. It took 2 hours and 5 minutes for the 5-door Mini Cooper to get here and fuel economy was 8.5 k-liter. So, it showed fuel economy similar to that of the naturally aspirated 1.6. The Venue was not blocked, so it took 1 hour and 35 minutes, and the fuel economy was 12.7 km/liter, which was a good result. One of the things I felt after test driving the Kona second generation 1.6 gasoline turbo model is that there is no stop and go. If I had used stop and go on a congested road, the fuel economy would have been around 8 km/liter, but it was a little disappointing. However, like the first generation, there was an auto hold function, so it was not inconvenient. Overall it was good. It definitely has a luxurious feel, and I'm happy with the definite upgraded feel compared to the previous generation. Today's test ends here. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you.